all for coming today. Thank you for taking the time to come and have a little look at our new facility here at Lamworm.
Good of you to pay, Steve.
Sorry?
Good of you to pay me.
No problem. Just going to run through the format of the day. It's obviously a launch.
You don't put any money in the meter, have you?
Nice tune, though. It is, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a soft launch. Soft launch. Slow launch. Yeah. So what I'll do is just quickly talk you through how what's going to happen and what you can expect. So first off, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background on how it all started, how the idea came about. Then we'll move on to an introduction to the technology and how it can help you game all the new gadgets we have in here. Then the fun part, the simulation play, where you can play all different courses, explain a bit about that. Then at the end, if I haven't explained things well enough, there's a question and answer session where you can ask anything. And then finally, we're all going to have a go. We've got Prosecco, mince pies, nibbles and things like that over here, so please feel free to stay afterwards. And we've got a nearest to pin competition where you can win 3 hours in here. So start at the beginning, so when it all started, it was an idea which I had probably about 2 years ago. And like I always do with anything which I'm trying to do, I always start with the end goal in mind. And the brief I gave myself was to try to create the best indoor facility in the country. So for members and clients of mine, when they come for a golf lesson or they come to the shop, I always try to offer them a first-class experience. And this is what I've aimed to do in here. And we've had some great feedback from industry insiders as well from about the facility. So hopefully it's we're well on the way to achieving that. So it was a little bit of a journey. We did it all ourselves, and we put that into a little video now for you to have a look at of how it all started. I've got a couple of thanks to say, namely one to my dad who's in here for all his help. You'll see him in action in one of the slides. With a fantastic lunch. So I think that paints a pretty good picture of the sort of the journey we've been on from idea through to completion. And now on to the sort of technology side, to explain a little bit about how it can help you and how it can help you game. So this little device here in the box is a launch monitor. Some of you may have used them, have seen them, or heard about them. Very, very clever. This is the most important piece of equipment we have in here. There's 2 different types of devices you can have in terms of launch monitors. One is a radar-based sort of Doppler ball tracing technology, which you would use more so for outdoor facilities, where it tracks the ball and it gives you all the information back then. Or for indoor facilities, this can also be used outdoors, but this gives more accurate data from an indoor facility, and it's a photometric launch monitor. Basically what happens, it just captures hundreds of images as you strike the ball, and then it programs that information, puts it into complicated algorithms in a very technical side of things, and then what it spits out is ball flight here, so then we find out exactly what the ball has done. That looks like one of my practice sessions from earlier, with the ball going all over the show, but what it tells us, or tells me as a coach, as a fitter, and Scott and other staff, is it will tell us everything what the ball does. It tells the ball speed, the launch angle, the spin rates, the spin axis is the total spin. It tells us a whole host of information which is then used for different purposes. Now, it can seem a little bit all-consuming, but what I always try to do is I try to take all the information there which I need, but then convey the information to the client, to the lesson or whatever it might be in a simple to understand format. So not only does it measure all of the numbers we spoke about earlier, it tells us the flight time that the ball was in flight for, the descent angle it's coming in at, so the angle it's landing into the green, the height, the peak height of the shot, and the smash factor, which is basically how efficient you're using your club. It also tells us how far offline, how far we carried it, and how far the roll was. The clever thing about this is what you can do is you can set it to any condition. Somebody asked earlier, so if you were playing, for argument's sake, say, pouring rain and you want to practice in wet conditions, you change the settings before you start your game or start your practice session to soft conditions. You can change the altitude, you can change wind, you can change temperature, all of which has an influence on how far the ball travels. So it's so realistic that it's almost as close as you can get to playing really real golf. This is one of my favourite bits about the equipment, is the fact that I'm always dealing in facts and evidence. I hate guessing. What I always like to know is exactly what's happening, and this is what this tells us. There's no sort of getting away from it. And a lot of people, a lot of you guys here probably have got measuring devices, Bushnells, lasers, watches, which tell you how far you've got to the green, to bunkers, to hazards. But how many of you actually know how far you hit the club, which is never fails to amaze me. A lot of people don't really understand their game. And I've been coaching now for quite a long time. It's one of my main passions. And what you also find is that people always have tendencies. So you might not realise it, you might not understand your game perhaps as well as you could, but you will have a tendency where your miss pattern will always be maybe long left, short right, depending on what it is. You might always fade it or something like that. And the more information I can have like that, the more information I can collect, the more I can understand your game, the better the quality of the lesson or whatever it is we're working on. So this one here, so once you find out, so first thing you do is we do a capping session, so you find out your distances, so how far you hit each club. So we take the averages, so we'll hit probably about 7, 8, 10 shots with each club, and then it puts it into an average for us, it does all the work for us, and then we give that to you in a printout, we email it to you, so then you've got a record of how far you hit it, and I suggest you put that in your bag, so then you know exactly how far each club goes, providing you hit it reasonably well. And then moving on from there, then we've got what's a real cool thing on this system is a skills assessment test. So what you do is you program it, so you find out your yardages beforehand, then you put in 10, or however many you choose, different yardages of your choice. And then you put the corresponding club there, which you're going to hit, and then you can select how many shots you're going to play at each target, and how many of those shots you're going to select. So if we were playing 5 shots to each target, you might only select the best 4, so you deselect, and it would automatically discount the worst one, so it will give us a good average then. And it then puts that into a very simple to understand thing, although it doesn't look that simple, it is very, very simple. So on the left here, you'll be playing on a screen like this when you're doing the test, and it gives you instant feedback if you hit the target, if you miss it, distance from target. You see on the bottom here, it's giving you your launch, your spin rates, your ball speed, your club speed, and the side spin, how far off the centre you were, so this particular shot was 9 yards off the offline, and then it tells you in an abbreviated form. But over here, the most important one, so then it throws out information like this, where it'll tell you how accurate you were hitting the greens in those 5 shots, the shot dispersion, and more importantly, it'll give you your tendency. So, like you say, people always have a tendency. So this one, particular one, was left and short. So then, now I see patterns and things like that, and now I can then start going into the coaching mode, start thinking, okay, why is that happening? Is it a technical reason? Is it a swing issue? Is it alignment? Is it course management, where people are just choosing the wrong club because they don't understand how far they hit it? And that's where my job is then to figure that out, I suppose. gives it an overall picture then for your whole 10 shots, however many you're going to play. So then, talking about coaching, this is, like I said, coaching is one of my big passions, which I love doing. I love helping golfers hopefully improve and enjoying the game more. Some of you in here have had lessons before, some of you might not have, so I thought I'd just put in what you can expect in a coaching session with myself or Scott, who's just about to start coaching as well now. What you can expect, and my goal since day one of coaching was to obviously put the client first, but to really get an understanding of what they want. So I always ask the question to everybody, what's the most important thing to you about this lesson? What do you want? Not everybody wants to be the next Tiger Woods, the next McIlroy. Some people don't want to make wholesale swing changes, so I'll spend time and effort in a consultation period. We'll sit down, we'll have a coffee, I'll find out exactly what you want from that session, and then hopefully satisfy those needs as the lesson's going on. I'm trying to keep everything very simple. Don't like complicated methods of coaching. The simpler you can keep things, the better. I also like to find out a lot about your background, other sports you play, because there's loads of motor skills in other sports which are really transferable into the golf swing, which then makes it easier for that change to take place. It makes it easier to facilitate that change, I suppose. We use live video feeds, which I'll show you when we're doing the use of pin comps. We've got 3D club data if necessary. After the lesson, we'll send, depending on the level of the lesson, but we'll send lesson notes, videos, things to you, so you've got reference points. And we always operate an open door policy where you can always come in after the lesson. It doesn't matter if you're not coaching, you can come back in and ask questions and things like that. You don't have to be in a lesson to be asking questions. The other main part of it here, the other sort of motivating factor for here was to offer one of the best custom fit facilities in the country. So when members are coming to us, I wanted to make sure that what we were doing, because sometimes when golf clubs, they can be a bit expensive and it's a big investment. What I wanted to make sure was that the information and the end product that the golf club I was advising what they should have was exactly the right one when they needed. So it was taking all of the guesswork out of it. And this is, in a custom fit, very much a two-way thing, but when we've got all this information and facts and evidence, I can be pretty much 100% certain the clubs that myself and Scott and Rhiannon soon will be custom fitting will be offering will be hopefully the perfect ones for you guys to help you with your game, because everybody is different. Talking about custom fits as well, it's quite interesting. We have some interesting conversations in the shop with members and customers and things, and sometimes you hear sort of common things coming out when we're talking about custom fit clubs and the importance of it. And one of them is people think, oh, they're not good enough for custom fit clubs. They say, oh, I'm not good enough for F22 and things like that. And the irony is that it's actually more important for the club player to have a custom fit, to have clubs which are suitable for them and help them, than the elite level player, because the elite level player has got a skill level where he can pick up any club, hit 2 or 3 shots with it, get a feel for what the club's doing, and he's got the ability to change his swing to suit that club. The average club player maybe not have that, so this is where you want the club working for you, you want to help him, you're not making golf harder, because it's, I don't know about you, I think it's pretty hard to start with, so we want to try and keep it as simple as possible. People say they're too expensive, and that's not true. They're just exactly the same as the normal clubs. I don't know if you notice in the shop, we don't stock many sets of irons now, because most people, there's not many people who are standard these days, so every probably 19 out of 20 sets we sell probably custom fit, which are all tailor-made to you. And the other one, sometimes people will say, my current clubs are just fine, and that sometimes is the case as well. We'll come in, we'll always test your existing clubs first, and then we'll test them against the new